on traders? It's Johnny here, Trader X. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel. And today I wanted to go ahead and give you guys another recap and let you know how my day trading went today. And so as you guys can tell, it was a red day today. Unfortunately, I was down $48.67, and that consisted of trading the Nasdaq inverse ETF SQQQ. And then as you guys can also see, I still have my open position in Tesla with 2 shares, and that lost me $106 today. And so these were all my filled orders, right? You guys can see the time frames that I bought in and out, and then the price points right over here on the right. And then the ETF I was trading right here in the middle. But that's there for your reference. You can pause and take a look at that if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and get right into the recap. So how was I actually able to lose money on the inverse ETF of the NASDAQ, even though the NASDAQ was selling off today? Well, I want to go ahead and explain my thought process. So pretty much when I woke up at market open 6:30, what I saw was, the Nasdaq was indicating signs of a sell-off all pre-market, right? It was trading between the middle and bottom VWAP, making these lower highs and lower lows, and it would bounce off the bottom VWAP and recover to the top middle VWAP, right? So ultimately, once market opened and we saw this influx of buyers, it pushed it up to the middle VWAP and it became overextended, right? So in this little area here, I tried getting into SQQQ and made some money. So I was probably up like $40 to $60 on the day after this. And then as this thing pushed up and reversed, I had to cut out of all my shares. And then ultimately this thing got rejected again, and I tried another SQs play here. But as you guys can see, it was very choppy right around this area, right? Within a span of about, I would say, almost an hour, right? More like 40, 50 minutes, where it was very choppy and struggling to choose a direction. So because of that, this actually ended up making me lose all my profits on the day, where as I bought into SQs and averaged up, this thing reversed on me, right? So it was very choppy around this area, still kind of consolidating, trying to find a true direction. And so ultimately, as this thing picked back up and became overextended, given the fact that I saw it getting rejected right around these areas, I decided to get in, but I didn't average up on this trade, right? And as you guys can see, if I averaged up on this trade, it would have gone according to plan and I could have been done for the day there. So ultimately, I decided to only get in with a fraction of the shares given how choppy it was, right? So it wasn't just out of nowhere. This thing was continuously finding a support and resistance right around this little area here. So as this thing fell, I decided to, I wouldn't be the smartest idea for me to average up in case this thing were to bounce again. So I ultimately just kept the shares running and was able to cut it there and make some money back. And in terms of where I lost money again was after this thing was continuing to sell off, it peaked back up again, and I decided to get into an SQ's position here. But as you guys can tell, it was actually starting to ride the EMA all the way up to the middle VWAP, right? So that's ultimately the move that ended up making me skeptical on which way the market was headed. So given this really aggressive sell-off right at market open, and then as this thing started to peak out and become more overextended, it had these little fake outs, right? Where it would pretty much indicate like it was gonna sell off, but it didn't. And I would be in SQs and then have to cut losses on this thing. So I was pretty much green and then ended up, losing by taking these small little trades trying to get into SQQQ. You guys can see how choppy it is, where it was showing lots of signs of resistance around here. So it was very choppy, and it ultimately ended up actually, picking up till all the way past the middle VWAP. So I was struggling pretty much to find the direction, even though I knew it could sell off on a day. It was still um, not as clear to me as to when it would do so because of the fact that it had all these fake outs here, right? And in the morning, we were having these little fake outs here. So I was definitely struggling today in terms of finding the real direction of the NASDAQ. But as you guys can tell, it ended up becoming overextended, peaking out, and then selling off, right? So I was trading this, but not with a big share size, given the fact that how choppy it was in the morning. I just didn't feel comfortable really averaging up heavy anymore. So that's ultimately what ended up leading to me losing money. And on top of that, I believe on one of these trades, I meant to cut losses on SQs, but accidentally sent an average up position. And as it went south, I cut it really fast. But that ultimately did cost me an extra, like $30 to $40 that I shouldn't have been down. So, but that's obviously my fault on my end, and I can't blame anyone else but for myself. And yeah, that's pretty much my recap today, and that's ultimately what led to me losing my money. As you guys can see, the Nasdaq on the bigger time frame, right? This thing absolutely sold off heavy over the weekend and leading into today. So that this was a big reason why me and my brother didn't want to get too heavy and start loading up on position or on our position size on Tesla, right? Because after we saw this nice little recovery on the Nasdaq, it became overextended, right? And right around these levels, Tesla was killing it. It had a span of within 2 to 3 days where it absolutely, killed it and was up a decent percentage amount. So most people probably thought that this was signaling the market recovery, right? And that the Nasdaq was just going to continue to uptrend after this point, and that we found the low. But if you guys go back to my previous videos, I was warning you guys about the possibility that it can continue to sell off and even make these lower lows, given the fact that it's been so bearish, right? The Nasdaq as a whole has been very bearish since the end of May, right? So beginning of April all the way until now, it's been doing majority of just bleeding. And so ultimately, I did want to make you guys aware of that, right? This doesn't mean just because we have a new 180-day low that it's going to just suddenly recover, right? There's still a lot it can definitely give. In terms of the bigger time frame and when I feel comfortable adding to Tesla, I feel comfortable adding to Tesla once the Nasdaq starts to indicate signs of a true uptrend, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, as you guys can see right over here, right? The Nasdaq right around, when is this? March of 2020, it ended up having a nice sell-off, and then it recovered and started to ride the EMA line up, right? It was making these higher highs, higher lows, and bouncing off the EMA. And right now we're doing the exact opposite, right? We're getting rejected by the EMA line, and we're making these lower highs and lower lows. And so what I think can happen is, given the bigger time frames, if you take a look at them, right? Because I'm going to be investing in swing trading with my Tesla positions. I'm not necessarily day trading it, so that's why I'm taking a look at these bigger time frames, because they're more relevant with my goal in Tesla. And so ultimately what I see is the Nasdaq has consistently been able to bounce off the SMA line, right? And so it was very overextended and due for a pullback. So I'm not too surprised that the market has been pulling back. Hopefully we are able to see a bounce right around these SMA line levels. And once we do start to break above the EMA and start to use it as an uptrend like we did here, that is when I will feel more comfortable adding to my Tesla position, right? Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. So as you guys can see, Tesla was down over 7% today, right? I only had 2 shares in it, and it lost me, $106. That's a pretty decent amount of money for only having 2 shares in. Imagine, a week ago I averaged up, got in with 10 more shares, 20 more shares, because I just hoped that the market was going to recover, right? With no true sign or direction. Today would have been a bloodbath. I could have lost a ton of money, right? Thousands of dollars. And that's really what I want to make you guys aware of, is when you're trading, and especially in these times where the market's very volatile, I want you guys to put best practices into your trading, and just make sure you're implementing everything you should be in order to put yourself ahead of the game, right? Right now, direction still isn't in our favor. There's no confirmation of a reversal just yet. So why would I add to my Tesla position, right? I'm pretty much would be adding to something that's losing me money right now. And I want to be adding my money to stuff that's making me money, right? So long term, I still see the Nasdaq. It could continue to sell off. Nothing has to happen, right? It doesn't have to bounce where I think it will, but it is definitely at an oversold point, right? And it does have plenty of room to recover, which means lots of these tech stocks are at really good deals right now. So that's what I'm going to be keeping my focus on in terms of swing trading for the remainder of the year. And yeah, I hope you guys all learned something new from this video. I hope you guys were all able to end green on the day today, even though the market was red overall, right? There's ways you can make money by trading the inverse ETFs or shorting the market. So there's just a lot of opportunity out there, right? And it's very beautiful to see. But yeah, red day today. I'm gonna do my best to, if I have another red day tomorrow, make sure I minimize it like I did today. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be posting a video tomorrow with my recap, and I hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel. If you guys are new, please consider liking and subscribing, because we really appreciate it and it helps us out a lot. But other than that, I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.